So I'm going to make a few comments and then we'll take questions. I'm going to start out with a little bit of an overview before I go into details of 2 organized retail theft cases and some carjacking cases we want to highlight. So overall, so far in 2022, we've made 87 carjacking arrests. We've seized 578 illegal guns, 25 of which are ghost guns so far this year. Our homicides are down 17% compared to this period in January of 2021, and our shootings are down 3.9%. We have, so far this year, 750 new applicants for the Chicago Police Department police officer positions. That's 750 so far this year. That's the month of January. New applicants for the job of police officer for the Chicago Police Department. And I just want to remind you, we ended last year with 7,400 applicants, Chicago police officers. And I just want to just really highlight last year's efforts before we go into today's press event. We ended the year with over 12,000 guns seized. And that's the most seized on record, Chicago Police Department's history. For the 2 years, the 2020 and 2021, that's 23,000 guns. So 11,300 guns in 2020, over 12,000 guns in 2021 seized. That 2-year period is, obviously the 1 year period is the most on record. 2 years, it's the most in a 2-year period on record seized. As well as over 400 homicides cleared in 2021. That's the most cleared in 19 years. In addition, our criminal networks, that's our narcotics and gang divisions, seized over $25 million in U.S. currency from violent criminal networks, as well as $400 million in street value narcotics from those violent criminal networks. And arguably, these efforts for 2021 saved untold lives. I want to go right into a couple of highlighted notable arrests that we've made so far this year. One is in the organized retail theft category. On last week, a juvenile was taken into custody on 21 counts. Repeat that. A juvenile was taken into custody on 21 counts of burglary and theft, targeting several Ulta beauty stores across the city. And I want to thank Julie Giblin, Ulta's Vice President of Loss Prevention, who's standing with us here today, because of the collaboration with Ulta and our Organized Retail Task Force, as well as our detectives who work on that Organized Retail Task Force. Just wanted to thank Ulta and the detectives for all the hard work and collaboration that they must do in order to bring any of these cases to justice. This charge for this 15-year-old is a enterprise, organized retail theft enterprise charge. It's a class 1 felony, and these officers, these detectives, Ulta representatives all work very hard. In addition, in the same week that we arrested this 15-year-old, we arrested another young adult in connection with a string of robberies at North Face and Sephora stores between December 10th and December 21st, resulting in the loss of over $10,000 in merchandise. So we brought another individual into custody who, as you recall, in the run-up to the shopping season, we had several smash and grabs, several burglaries, and the message to offenders were, we're not going to let you get away with it. We are going to bring you into custody and bring you before the courts to seek justice, and this is what we are doing. We are bringing those cases forward, and these people did not get away with that. But it takes a lot of visibility, a lot of engagement, and a lot of collaboration to continue our efforts in protecting the people of Chicago. As I mentioned, over 578 guns have been taken off the streets of Chicago by our brave and courageous police officers on this department just this year. So this, the 21st of January, and over 500 guns already. In addition, on January 7th, 4 juveniles were each found in possession of a firearm during a traffic stop. All of these juveniles were placed in custody, and they were charged with aggravated unlawful use of a weapon. In addition, our carjacking task force ran several missions this month, made 9 arrests. In one of the particular missions, recovered 11 vehicles, seized 5 handguns, and in conjunction with several area and state agencies that we collaborate with on our carjacking task force. These types of task force, this type of collaboration, not only with our other law enforcement agencies, but also with our retail partners and others, is really yielding results. Obviously, are coordinating as many of our resources as we can on these particular type crimes. And let me just reiterate, not only guns, gangs, and narcotics, but also organized retail theft and carjacking is our main focus going into as we go. And with that, I'll take any questions that you have. Yes. So there was a rash, if you recall, way before the Christmas shopping season, where Ulta was the focus of these criminals. And I will get you a detailed categorization of which cases for which locations for Ulta. But yeah, this one individual had a crew, a lot of these break-ins at Ulta and other stores that we are able to close out that case. There's still some more investigations to do to bring in more offenders, but yes, we focused on these crews to charge them with the felony charge of organized retail theft enterprise, which is a higher charge than just a theft or a burglary. A class 1. Yeah. Yes. No, I don't think that we can categorize it that way, although criminals have no boundaries. We've made an arrest on some of those on the north side that you mentioned. We arrested one for robbery. We had another arrest recently, this past week. So we're bringing these people to justice. It's just a matter of getting the robbery pattern, getting any vehicles associated with it into our license plate reader technology, getting witnesses to come forward. So we're soliciting any what I call nosy neighbors. We need you to become a nosy neighbor if you're not right now. Anything suspicious that you see in your neighborhood, please call the police, go to your districts, get with your CAP officers, go to the beat meetings, and help us bring these people to justice. We just need any piece of evidence sometimes to break the cases that these crews are committing across the city. Yes. I'll say this. I probably won't answer the question directly, but can I just say a couple of things regarding so I'm not a big fan of journalism that uses a source that used a source that said they heard something. So kind of 3 sources removed from the actual interaction. So I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think that's journalism at its best. But regardless to say, likely there are disgruntled people because of the significant changes we're making. We're making significant changes, and not just consent decree changes. We're going to change the culture of the Chicago Police Department, and there are likely people here who liked it the way things were, and who will push back and use media, become sources to create a lot of dysfunction. We're going to push back, and we're going to be the adults in the room, and we're going to continue our efforts, first protecting the people of Chicago, but also doing it in a way that's constitutional and respectful of all the people of Chicago. The way things were got us in a consent decree under a judge's order. Shouldn't use just the consent decree, but there likely are the same people who are against the consent decree efforts. They're likely against changes as far as search warrant policy, foot pursuit policy. They're likely characterize all these changes as preventing officers from doing their job when these same changes have happened across police departments for decades. Foot pursuit policies have been in place for over a decade in major cities across this country, and there has been no uptick in crime as it relates to putting these policies in place. Previous department I was in, we had a foot pursuit policy, and this was like a decade ago. LAPD had a foot pursuit policy over a decade. New York NYPD has a foot pursuit policy. Every major city has a foot pursuit policy. Chicago has been kind of last to adopt these best practices. And again, I don't want to characterize a source who heard something from somebody who heard something as how people feel. I do know cops. I've been doing this all of my adult life, and I'm 61. And very independent thinkers. Cops don't have someone, they speak for themselves. If you ask them, they have an opinion. And so whoever these sources are, and you know, they want to remain anonymous, and that's their right. Just they don't paint the whole department with the same broad brush. Many officers have embraced change and embraced reform. You don't get 12,000 guns off the streets, a record high number of guns, without people following their calling, their oath of office, because it takes great risk in taking a gun off an offender. You know that for a fact how dangerous that work is, and you don't do that at record levels. You are one of these sources. So I just, you know, I take it with a grain of salt. It's encouraging that the mayor sees it the same way. We got a job to do. We're going to reform this department. We're going to change the culture. We're going to protect the people of Chicago while we do it. We are not deterred by sources, and I just want to finally close this out by saying, likely to hear more sources tell more stories about whatever they're disgruntled about, but we won't be deterred. Yes. So this is happening all across the country. Departments are advertising in other cities where they think that we don't appreciate our cops as much as they would. And the grass always looks greener on the other side, especially going to a place like Vegas. But it is the desert, by the way. And we do have Lake Michigan. So I would just caution any overreaction to efforts by other departments to recruit others. We like to think that we can stand on our own and recruit in the area. We like Chicago born and bred, even though I'm not from Chicago, but I'm a cousin from the South, I guess. It's the best way to characterize me. But again, I just don't try to overreact to someone advertising. We are higher than normal attrition. And it's happening all across the country. We normally have an attrition rate of about 5 to 6%. We have currently like an 8% attrition rate. So it's not some of the highest levels of attrition that we see in other parts of the country, other departments. Some departments have expressed they've had 20% attrition. It's a 2% uptick in attrition. But we have a sense of urgency to hire those vacancies. We do have a sense of urgency. We do want to fill our vacancies. We do have a dedicated recruiting team to fill our vacancies. They are recruiting every day. They're going to military bases, to job fairs, to community colleges. We're giving more in-person tests. We're giving, for the first time, online testing for everyone. I'm available every day, and that's how serious we are about recruiting to fill our vacancies. But it's a 2% uptick in what is normal attrition, but 2% is high, given level of staffing we have. So we want to fill those vacancies. Thanks. So we haven't broken up the TAC teams. The TAC teams have been asked to help answer 911 calls. As far as anyone can remember, many of you have covered our beat. They've always helped answer 911 calls periodically asked. So that's not true. And you didn't ask them if they were for the consent decree. If you ask them that question, these sources likely are not fans of the consent decree or the changes. So again, just define passive aggressive and you get your answer, man. I can't write your article for you, but many of us, you remember now, the sources are sources who heard someone else who heard. So these are third-hand sources. Again, I don't want to spend too much more time on third-hand sources. Not the best of journalism to have a third-hand source. No, we don't have any quotas, but we do want to earn our keep. So we don't expect officers to come to work and not do anything, and not say anything about it. So we are going to ask that officers arrest more violent offenders. I think that's reasonable. We are going to ask officers to engage the public more. That's reasonable. And we're not going to apologize for it. People whose tax dollars pay our salaries expects us to work. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to render these communities safer through our work efforts. And we're going to challenge each other to raise the level of effort given the challenges of the violent crime wave across the country that we're seeing in Chicago as well. Yes. Okay, so we do have a 31% decrease in carjackings this year so far, just in January. Again, this is basically 3 weeks. We're just putting out the numbers as frequently as we get a chance to be in front of you. But carjackings are down, but carjacking arrests, again, 87 is a lot of people. And remember that carjacking is 3 categories. It's the person that actually did the carjacking, but it's the people who also are in the stolen car. They're charged sometimes with possession of a stolen car. They're charged with criminal trespass to a stolen car. So we wrap up all of those offenders. We don't let any of them go when we capture them in these stolen cars, and we charge them with whatever the highest charge that we can get. Many times people are wearing hoods and masks and can't be identified. Then we charge them with possession of a stolen motor vehicle or criminal trespass to vehicle. The 11-year-old, we can follow up with you. I don't have that in front of me now, but unfortunately, our carjacking offenders are increasingly younger and younger. We ended last year with carjacking offenders being over half of all offenders we arrested. Unfortunately, our young people continue to commit this crime, and it's a very dangerous dynamic committing this crime. We're trying to encourage our young people to make better decisions. We're using all of our stakeholders to collaborate on, having some influence over our young people. Again, this is an ongoing effort of ours. Yes. We send our condolences out today. What a tragic, tragic thing for the families, and our prayers are with the family as well in conducting a full investigation to bring the offender to justice. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. Oh. Okay. I didn't see you. Go ahead. I did. I see you now, though. Yeah. The what?
The retail tax.
Yes.
So you're talking about retail.
I'll take the first question, and we'll make the other representative available offline for you. They weren't prepared to speak at the presser, but they'll be glad to speak with you offline. But let me take the first question. When we say a 15-year-old is part of a crew who is charged with organized retail theft enterprise, that means he's worked with other people to commit this crime. And likely, yes, they're not using the makeup that they're stealing. They're fencing it. So there's a black market for many of these products. And yes, we are pursuing that black market as aggressively as we are pursuing the initial offender who takes the product. We're pursuing the people who buy it on the black market as well, and more to come on that. No, we don't know that at this point to say, but we're continuing that investigation. A couple of those were attempts, so they didn't complete the crime. So we've got our eye on that particular pattern, but right now we haven't just connected the dots. It's so soon, but as soon as we have more information, we certainly will come back and update everyone. One of the biggest concerns that I've been trying to really address that is people commit these crimes and think they get away with it, that we're not pursuing them. And I think what we highlighted today, we've made arrests to show we are going to pursue you, that we are not just filing these investigations away and not committing resources to bring you to justice. And you have not gotten away. That can be also a deterrent when you bring people to justice and talk about the arrest and the Class 1 felony charge. But that's also justice, where people who take things that don't belong to them need to be brought to justice, regardless of your age. So whoever is involved in this, regardless of your age, we are putting forth the aggressive investigative efforts to bring you to justice. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.